Hello again, Club. Today I'm bringing you a video, an info video about Torchlight 3 and the Snow and Steam update, and this would be more of a patch notes summary. After the patch notes have been released a few days ago, I'm ready to kind of sum those up for those of you who wanted something like this. Keep in mind I've got 3 separate videos for this update that were made during the test period on the public test realm that lasted for 2 weeks, so some of the things that were in the public test realm have been fixed if they were broken. Some things additionally have been added, so there might be some differences between what I mentioned in those 3 videos, which you can find on my YouTube channel as well, and what we would mention in this video. I haven't noticed any differences so far, but I have reported some bugs during the test realm phase, and hopefully those bugs, at least some of them, have been fixed and resolved. So let's start with the too long didn't read summary, and then after that I will go into detail regarding every single patch notes section. First of all, well, winter themed items, forge rework, new legendary gear, Fazeer improvements, Transmog and Fort updates, pet enhancements, bug fixes and more. Actually not both, all 4 platforms, Steam, Xbox One, PlayStation 4 and Switch got this update on December 15th. And there's some things to note. Switch players should expect to see the following known issues until a hotfix is certified for the console and released. Number 1, pet bets purchase are currently turned off on Switch. Number 2, the set bonus of the My Little General legendary affix applies to the basic bonus while not having any effect on its own. And number 3, possible to not get enough Lost Remains on to complete the Spiders, main Mapworks quest. Bean is saying a message. Bean had a message for everyone, and it starts with Happy Holidays, Torchlight friends. We hope you're keeping warm this winter season, or cool for those in the southern hemisphere. We are so excited to finally bring you the Snow and Steam update, which is full of feedback, suggestions and bug fixes and improvements that we know you have all been waiting for. This spicy update is sending chills down my spine with a complete revamp for Forged and Fazeer, a whole new limited time contract and a slew of amazing new features and quality of life updates. This patch has something for everyone. And here's something that has been underlined: this update comes along with a forced respec. So please remember to spend your points before you dive back into the frontier after updating the Snow and Steam. What this means is everyone would have a free respec available to choose to do or skip. So if you want to level up a skill, you would have to decide full respec or skip it. If you skip it, then you lose it. If you don't do anything, you can save it and use it later, but you won't be able to level up any skills on heroes that are not maxed out or respec anything. Now, as we said, there's gonna be a new winter themed contract, pets and fort decorations. I'm not gonna go into detail about those right now here on the TLDR. Then there's gonna be a forge rework with a new Steam system, and Steam raises movement speed and is spent on basic attacks, and with 4 separate skills that are, as I like to call them, Steam spenders. There's new legendary gear, which is a full new set of 6 armor items, which with the 2 extra forge, so let's say 8 armor items, because you have the locomotion and the hatch that are forge specific. And there's another mini set of weapon plus offhand, and you have 2 weapons and 2 offhands, and you can combine any combination of 2. For example, you can have sword and shield, sword and focus, mace and shield, or mace and focus, and any 2 of those that you have equipped would boost the other item to have the set bonus, so they're boosting each other to get stronger. Each of them has its own bonus, so each of them provides a different playstyle. They're called the North Mace, the Glacier's Edge, the Little General Focus, which is making a comeback as an item with a new and reworked affix, and then we've got the Frost Wall, which also has been reworked. We also have some interesting winter themed helmets. For example, the Forge has one that makes him look like a snowman. I really love that one. There's Fazeer's dungeon improvements. You can see him visually. There's improvements that are based on the hub areas, Firebelly, Acrid, and Machine Works. So new dungeons. There's a greater variety of bosses, about 45 instead of 8 possible bosses that you can see in the Fazeer. So there's gonna be some variety in what you get in those boss cards during the checkpoints. And now there's something that many of you would enjoy. They've added a new dungeon affix and 5 Fazeer dungeon trophies that are now obtained when reaching level 39, 83, 133, 191 and 251. They've also added some bit of power creep, where the gear that you get as you delve deeper into the Fazeer dungeon will have a challenge bonus applied to all affixes. So there is a better level 60 endgame gear the deeper you go, and you need it. But keep in mind, this bonus only applies while you're inside the Fazeer, or at least it's supposed to apply only while it's inside the Fazeer. So when you exit, you're losing that Fazeer damage bonus, but when you go back to the Fazeer, it's back and you can use it. Then there's style stations and fort updates, such as the fort basement, and the style station is basically Transmog and Dyes, and a ton of forged and not for a ton of fort decorations that you get, as well as the pet perch and pet bed, and new pet skills, 7 in total, there's also the pet enhancement that lets the pet go and bring potions for you, there's some text on the screen right now where you can see what the new pet skills do, and to see the new pet varieties. And then there's Act 1 improvements, such as, for example, a new vegetation, new decorations and things throughout the map. There's a new hidden area, and more. And this hidden area, people are speculating it's something to do with the message that they set. And remember, there is no secret alpaca level. So people on my stream have been saying, is it a secret alpaca level? Is it not? Is it a level at all? Is it just something else? But yeah, there is a confirmed Easter egg somewhere out there for you to find. So I wonder what it would be when people would figure it out, so we know what it is. Let's start with the general patch notes. They've added the new winter theme title screen art, which I love. They fixed the activation requirement in Money Tree achievement. There's a lot of performance fixes, such as fix the crash related to deserializing multiple status effects, and a crash related to skill display, garbage collection. Also fixed an issue in single player that could have caused blocking walls or infinite loading screens. And they fixed some frame stuttering on Xbox Series X, and something that says don't save on suspend on PS4 for now due to the console not saving the game fast enough, causing the data to be rewritten. They fixed an issue where spawning minions with quad skills lowers frame rate on the Switch, and fixed a crash that occurs on Switch when starting multiplayer on many devices, and a crash that occurs for PC when entering the game with a specific pre-existing character on single player. Additional improvements to improve Switch performance, including reducing out-of-memory crashes, also performance improvements related to save codes to ensure less stress placed on consoles, and attempt to solve an issue where some players aren't able to equip gear, use their stash or sell items. It says attempt, so maybe that hasn't been fully solved or tested. Then additional improvements for performance and save data, and fixed a number of assets that were not being properly cooked. Now moving on to the user interface. There's some general changes like drop-down options in the settings menu for the colorblind mode, better messaging provided when a player times out or is disconnected, so you see the exact reason why, and they've enabled custom aspect ratio and custom aspect ratio options in video settings. They've updated the help arc ID display to account for unready linked or shadow account IDs, removed the newly created account ID text that is displayed, and they fixed the link account tooltip which is missing on the character select page. There are changes to the minimap for pet vendor, gambler, gear vendor and potion vendor, new icons. Improvements to the overlay map, but there's still some things that need to be improved there. There's improvements to the frontier map, party and play and chat improvements, localization improvements. I'm not gonna go into full detail regarding everything, but just gonna list some of the subcategories, then localization changes, and improvements to how gamepads perform. And now we're moving on to environment. So they've added a new hidden area and loading screen with new enemy type, quest item and boss has been added somewhere on the frontier. A new vendor and consumable item has been added relating to this area. So we know it's an area actually. Whether it's a level, what it is, whether it's a secret level, well, it is a secret area, so we could call it a secret level. And there are enemies, and there's bosses, and there's quest items and things like that, and there's consumables that you collect and then use those consumables at a new vendor. So until people find it, I can't say much more about this. Go there, try different things, read the tweets from being an official on the official Torchlight, which is @PlayTorchlight Twitter, and I think around 2 months ago or so there was a hint at this area, so maybe you can use that as that hint and try and find it thanks to that hint. They fixed the soldiers found in passageway swords that were appearing under the map, and updated many portions of Act 1 to make its areas more distinct, and I really love the palm trees and new vegetation that was added to maps that have more water in Act 1. It really looks nice, like Lake Gobdunk and things like that. Those changes have not been detailed out here, but include new environment objects, updated level skirts, added props, etc. They fixed the foliage that was no longer producing SFX and added missing SFX and so on and so forth. They fixed some things with the portals, with the cinematics, with the towns. There's a bunch of zones that got changes. I'm not gonna list every single thing. I'm just gonna list the zone names, or let's just say every single zone. I'm not gonna give you the names of every single zone that got changes. You can read the patch notes, link in the description. You can read in detail. Now we're moving on to forts. I'm again not gonna list everything, but they've added the fort cellar, the fort basement that can be found near the stairs. They've aligned the customized fort prompt icon better with the button text, also fixed the location of the target info widget text that was pushed down in the HUD due to the new location of the fort edit button being at the top of the screen. They've updated the fort nav mesh, that the area next to the stairs can now be decorated more thoroughly. They've added a transmog system, including icons, visual and sound effects, tooltips, and dyes and dye icons for new transmog system via the style station, and added the style station tutorial / notification. Fort decorations can now be arranged vertically, one of my favorite changes with this update fort wise. They can be raised up to 10 meters above the ground and lowered such that only a portion of their top is visible, but not fully underground. The user interface now displays both the area name, Travel Passage, and the fort name, Beans Fort for example, if applicable. Fort props can now hide when covering up the player when the camera is zoomed into certain UIs. They changed the crafting results message from cannot buy insufficient gold to cannot buy insufficient currency. And they've optimized the replication of fort stash entries to the client so that we can send longer numbers of props. This should help fix instances of forts that cannot be customized edited. Fixed an issues with where the nav mesh rebuilds every time the player moves the cursor with a prop attached in single player, and then some changes to decorations, added new fort decorations with their specific VFX and SFX found in the time limited snow and steam contract, which would be snow, snowy square block, snowy arch block, Snowman, Dusk Mage, Candy House, which is Wardrobe, Igloo, Snow Candle, Festive Arch, Festive Pure, Railmaster Candy House, which is Wardrobe, Ugly Sweater Cat, which is a pet, Travel Point, Snow Globe, the Reed or Red, Forge Candy House, which is a Wardrobe, Frost Owl, Stove, Maktar's Cove, Snow Globe, Sharpshooter Candy House, another Wardrobe, Grandfather Clock, Banquet Feast, Cider Service, Holiday Tree, String Lights, Cocoa Stand, Dwarven Nutcracker, Echo Landing Snow Globe, and Holiday Presents. They've added the Staff Station, as we mentioned. They've added Fazeer to his throne, so you can now see him. They fixed issues where the bronze sharpshooter statue cannot be equipped with a bow. They fixed targeting location of the training dummy by having it not be a nav mesh blocker. Shrunk the size of the training dummy collision so it more accurately shows missile collision with the model. Added new types of storage which can be used to display your pets in the fort, which are the pet perch and the pet. And new challenge trophies that we mentioned for the Fazeer. We're moving on to items and gear, which most of you probably are very excited about. I'm not gonna mention everything, but they've added item bundles that will be mailed out for upcoming holidays. Increased drop chance of legendary items from champions and bosses, increased the contrast of the shoulder pad icon when item slot is empty, fixed improper message that was displayed when the player attempts to buy an item from a vendor, and then increased the drop rate for legendary gear at higher levels, 46 plus on higher difficulties. This is a bit more of a significant change for ridiculous difficulty rather than painful and hard, which is actually something that they mentioned in the last update. Did they do it again? Even more? Then they fixed an issue where act-specific legendary armor did not drop in the endgame often enough or at all, and fixed issues where the Maktar's Cove Gambler is missing the random cannon option. Increased the chance that legendary items drop from greater item bundles earned from the contracts by around from plus 50 to plus 100 depending on the level, which I'm not sure what plus 50 plus 100% means. I'm assuming percent of the odd chance, so between 1.5 to 2 times the odd chance to drop. And I've been seeing this difference, I've been noticing this difference while leveling up and consuming bundles. Even from green bundles I've been getting every now and then a legendary, which feels nice. They changed the item affix generation logic to use the same kind of logic to pick secondary affixes for legendary items as they do for the other qualities, which results in finally being able to get things like flat damage on weapons, on chest and on leg armor, which is very good. So yeah, we've got more variety, and now it's even harder to get something with the best affixes, because the affix pool has been diluted, but if they add the affix rerolling system, things would be much better, then it would make sense. They changed the logic for dropping items so that instead of always preferring class-specific weapons, they're choosing weapon types to drop equally. So the weight they weighted the class-specific legendary items higher than the non-class-specific legendaries still. Fixed an issue where diminishing returns on the defense stat can start retracting the percentage of the prevented damage. And fixed an issue where traits wouldn't update when unequipping items. Okay, so now for gear, not general but gear in the items in gear. They've added new legendary items including SFX and VFX and the Legendarium. Which is the Winterweave armor set, as I mentioned, the North Maze, Glacier Sedge, Frostwall and the Liu General, and the Toy Makers tool, which is a staff, as well as the extra life stuff that they made, which is Echoes of Life. I'm not sure if the Echoes of Life made it because they didn't mention it, but it was on the test server, so maybe it's getting reworked further, or maybe they just didn't mention it. They've added new rare items, the Frostform Head and Elfin Cap. I've added some changes to some tooltips and things like that. The 5-starter bows deal more damage, actually less damage, 25 weapon damage instead of 80. which is weird because see, it says updated fire starters text reflects its recent change in damage to 80 from 40, but then fixed an issue where fire starters firebows were dealing less, so which is nice. It's now doing 80% instead of the 25 it used to. Bow lightning movement speed was reduced and the lifespan increased, and fixed the tooltip to show damage values, nerfed the damage to 70% weapon damage. Then some changes to pet covers that were granting immunity were not functioning properly. Bow lightning item active skill can no longer be cast in town. Fixed the arc powered pens that had a duplicate affix. And the Lost Legion active skill now displays the minion's weapon damage on the tooltip. Then they changed the legendary drops that were restricted to specific regions, like the Wood Beast set in Goblin Sack, to now be restricted by level range instead. And so those items can appear anywhere in the Fazeer dungeon, end map works, etc. And Wood Beast armor pieces can appear in any Fazeer dungeon area rather than just Goblin themed ones. They fixed the player receiving the Frost Nova active skill instead of the Bow Lightning skill while wearing the Lightning Bower. Fix some other things which you should probably be seeing on your screen right now, and fixed issues with Egg of Mayhem, like with the unstable Wararm affix of the cannon, and fixed issue where the bonus from the legendary affix of Mountain King Gauntlet is not triggered. Other changes to Lightning Strike and Storm Driver, a bunch of fixes with a bunch of items. The Raging Beater now generates steam when ramming robot vents, just as Vortex Bomb and Co-Lounge do, which is basically another venter you can use, another steam generator. Servo Blade, same overall effect, but increases steam powered uppercut steam cost rather than its hit cost. And they fixed issues where the player can cast Cold Allegiance skill in Travel Point or any other city. Fixed an issue where the hand cannon one-handed pistol has implicit crit chance as if it were a two-hander, which I brought to Michael's attention. And see, this is fixed only to new drops. If you have an old hand cannon pistol, I checked it last night, one of my old hand cannon pistols still had 10% crit chance as if it were a two-hander. So old ones would still have it, new ones would not. So you won't be able to get hand cannons anymore with crit chance on them. A bunch of fixes to affixes, bunch of fixes to contracts and additional things to the contracts. The new limited time Snow and Steam contract, including new contract banner art with variety of winter themed rewards. We can see more about that was in the fourth section, which we went through. They replaced the gear contract rewards. 3 rare items have become 3 times 1 magic or higher quality item, and the 1 legendary item has become 1 rare or higher quality item. This was due to the disproportionate amount of effort this previously put into finding more efficient ways to grind, and we already know about that. I think that's just a repeat of the previous patch note. They've increased the height of the contract claim chest text area to fit 4 lines of item text, and other issues with the contracts. Then in the Legendarium there's the new legendary affix label no longer overlaps item description, and they cleaned up the legendary affix description text area so it wraps correctly. Reduced the enchanting recipe by 10 in regards to drops, I think. They fixed an issue where the Goblin Shield bonus enhancement had the fire defense listed twice as a possible affix, fixed an issue where the enchanting menu was blank. And now we're moving on to changes for the pets. I'm just gonna list some stuff instead of saying everything. So there's 2 new pets and 3 new pet variations. Ugly Sweater Cat, Frost O, Red-Nosed Retriever, Reindeer and Jolly Ferret. I've seen all of them except the Reindeer. They disabled the Halloween pets from being found in pet cages. They may reappear again in the future. They've added new impressive pet cage. This can appear in a dungeon near the boss chest about 10% of the time. Pet cage is present, and the impressive pet cage provides only rare or legendary pets, which would make finding those new pets much easier, and I really like those impressive pet cages. Pets once again use Battle Cry. They've added 5 new pet skills. Actually, it's 7. It should be 7. So there's Dasher, Zoomies, Landmines, Wet Kisses, Assemble, And there's one more which is missing here, and it was one with summons. I can't remember what it was, but there's one more with summons, where they don't summon all different types, but only summon one type of pet spirits. Some are broken. I've tested things, and landmines, assemble, and that other new one are broken, whereas Dasher, I can't tell you whether it works or not, but Zoomies and Wet Kisses does work. So they've added the ability to fetch potions, which we mentioned, and a bunch of other changes which you can see on your screen right now for the pets. And now we're moving on to quests. Again, I'm not gonna talk in detail about this. There's a bunch of things to a bunch of quests that have been fixed. In general, they attempted to fix the map works and the Fazeer dungeon quests that could not be completed, but people are still reporting problems with being able to get all the quest items, all the quest drops for those quests, even with the new system, even with the way they work, even with the new quests. So it's kind of probably their biggest problem, and they're still having problems fixing it. And I hope they find eventually a solution. Maybe for now it's best to just make all those quests that require you to wood stuff, make it require just one thing, and just maybe change most quests to just kill quests, kill X of those enemies in the map, and at least it's gonna prevent people from not being able to complete the quests. Now, there are changes to the Fazeer dungeon. We already mentioned some of them. This might be a little bit longer of a segment. So the Fazeer now appears in front of his lounge in your fort. There are now Fazeer dungeons based on some of the hub areas, Fireberry Village, Acrid Plains, and Machine Works. Most Fazeer dungeon checkpoints now have a greater variety of bosses, which I said is 45 instead of 8. And the gear you get as you delve deeper in the Fazeer dungeon will have a challenge bonus applied to all affixes, so there is better level 60 endgame gear the deeper you go, and you need it because damage from monsters increases the further you go in the Fazeer dungeon, both increasing the damage, the movement speed, and the HP. And yeah, they're stopping at a higher value than before. Then there's the Fazeer dungeon set affixes that now apply to bosses in addition to their own affixes, and they've added 2 new Fazeer affixes: Cranked, which is you losing health perpetually but heal with each kill, and then Monster Kill, which is gain movement speed and damage with each kill, stacks up to 20 times, and that's 2% per stack, which is basically up to 40% damage and I think 40% movement speed, or maybe the movement speed was less. I think it's still 40%. So this is amazing. Monster Kill is my favorite affix. It can give you a ton of damage, and if you're not there to farm, just to push a Monster Kill would help you greatly. So it's very attractive as an affix for me to use. Then there's 5 Fazeer dungeon trophies, and you can obtain those by reaching level 39, 83, 133, 191, and 251. They've added the new Fazeer card art. They fixed they fixed a few challenge dungeon boss arenas that could never get pet cages, and set the tuning to more reliably have a pet cage at the end of challenge dungeon boss arenas half of the time. Reduce the amount of dungeon tutorial dialogue text. The Winterweave set can now be found in the Fazeer dungeon. Items dropped in Fazeer dungeon now increase in power the higher your challenge level. And the difficulty of each challenge level is now higher, both in enemy damage and HP, with health getting a much higher increase. Removed Cyclone mode from the list of skills that are disabled by Anchored in the challenge dungeon, which is interesting, pretty interesting. Monsters, general, increase the damage from legendary pack minions by 20% and double their hit points, so they are around longer to be more of a threat while you're fighting the legendary champion. Increased minions experience value to compensate for a rise in hit points. Slightly decreased legendary champion hit points about 15% to make it more likely that you're fighting the whole pack of them and not just left with the legendary by itself. And fixed an issue where the Plague Bearer poison balls can be heard. Raise the sound of all monsters by 2 decibel. Then there's some changes to mobs, removed Gun Daddy from the list of valid mappers bosses, Phase Dungeons, Map Scrolls and Fazeer Dungeons. They reduced the Phase Beast health by about 40% to make it easier to kill them when you're really trying, especially at higher difficulty levels. And Phase Beast portals now lead to one of 59 different boss fights, as these will now be against mini bosses instead of the big bosses. The Phase Beast fights won't be quite as long as they were previously, which is super nice and super fun. And Phase Beasts now can spawn in the Fields of Unrest, the Chasm or Trial of Fire, in addition to the areas in which they could previously spawn. And there's some more changes which you can read on your screen. There's also changes to bosses, which also are on the screen. And again, if you want the full patch notes, just check the link in the description. Now there's changes to the relics. They made a bunch of fixes to certain things. For example, fixed Giant Swings, the Flaming Destroyer passive, Blades for Cutting, the Blood Drinker passive, Large Boars, the Cold Heart passive, and Shocking Force, the Electrode passive, incorrectly displaying the passive relic skill for staffing up, which is Bane. They fixed Cold Heart and Blood Drinkers icons that were squished in the player HUD and reviewed and added SFX for relic procs. There's changes to the Blood Drinker with the tier 3 bonus effect of Drain Relic active skill dealing incorrect damage. Then Flaming Destroyer fixed issues where the Fireball summoned by Firestorm skills are always dealing 40% weapon damage. And fixed an issue where Cloak of Flames evasion was not applying. On Electrode side of things, fixed an issue where the shock bolts from the Conjure Electrode skill deal 70% of weapon damage regardless of how many points are added to that skill. They reduced the busyness of Chaotic Strike's bolts to read more clearly in multiplayer, and fixed an issue where the damage values for the Walkwise Storm skill are now representing the real damage values done in-game. Fixed an issue where the lightning bolts from the Shocking Force passive skill always deal 400% of weapon damage, which is amazing, regardless of how many points are added to that skill. And they fixed an issue where the Lightning Strike passive skill deals 125% weapon damage, which is inconsistent with the skill's description. For the Cold Heart side of things, fixed an issue where standing close to large monsters causes all of the icicles to damage the monster while using Ice Shield. They've adjusted the text for Snowstorm tier 3 milestone to reflect that critical hit chance versus caps at 40%. And not 100% like it originally said before they added the cap change. I think this should just be changed. 40% crit chance is not something great, and this tier 3 bonus is better changed to something completely different rather than 40% crit chance. We can get 40% crit chance or 20 or 30 from items without even trying too hard, especially on Forged with the Mountain King gauntlets. And it's just a waste to have such a tier 3 bonus. The icicles from Cold Front deal around 20% weapon damage and is not increased regardless of how many points are added to that skill. They fixed an issue where the Ice Golem with the tier 1 bonus unlocked charges Dusk Mage Dark and Light bar, and fixed an issue where the Ice Golem can be targeted, causing ranged characters to walk towards enemies. And on the Bane side of things, they fixed an issue where leveling Miasma does not increase the skill's damage, which is interesting. I didn't know that's how it was. They adjusted the damage for the Fanged Maw ranged attack, so it's dealing the proper damage amount. It was not. I'm not sure if it was doing more or less than it was supposed to. Needs to be tested. Fixed an issue where a Spectral Spider's damage is not increased for every skill point spent. Additionally, fixed its in-game base effect, which is inconsistent with its description, or was. And now moving on to classes and skills, there are some general changes, like fixed an issue where leveling a skill causes the spent skill point to still show as being unspent. Clarified tooltips for how 10% boost to relic skill damage works. It's a multiplier and it now says so. Fixed spawning issues where some skills could summon their pets outside the environment. Fixed a confusing blurred error message that was displayed on the bottom of the screen during difficulty selection when creating a new character. First we're gonna talk about Dusk Mage. Dark Spear's tier 2 bonus now grants 10% cooldown reduction to all skills with cooldowns, excluding the cooldowns on charge based skills. fixed an issue where damage is not increased by 50% while in harmonic form. Players now appear correctly to their primary members while casting Holy Fury in multiplayer. Entropy tier 3 milestone no longer increases mana cost, but the pulses deal half the skill's normal weapon damage, which is pretty nice. I really love this change. They fixed an issue where Luminous Run would not interrupt other skills and would not activate if targeted very close or very far from your position. Fixed an issue where Shadow Step would not interrupt other skills, and an issue where Damnation duration is not updated if the skill description in the skill description after leveling up the ability. Fixed Harmonic form to from spending charges, and fixed an issue where the mana bar might not decrease under certain circumstances. For the Forged, a new Steam mechanic for Forged, including new HUD and HUD animations, new SFX and VFX for some adjusted skills. So the Forged now has a second resource, which is Steam. It's displayed directly next to the heat bar. Steam is generated by venting heat, and if you vent a full heat bar, you get a full Steam bar. Steam very slowly decays over time, whereas heat no longer decays over time, but Steam also increases the Forged movement speed, so long as you have any Steam. That's the Steam, actually, not the heat. The Steam increases the movement speed so long as you have any Steam, and this justifies the slow decay. By default, Steam has an immediate early game benefit to utilize. It enhances basic attacks with special bonus proc effects that will spend Steam. For melee basic weapons, Conical Blast of Steam will deal damage whenever you swing. And for ranged basic attacks, a piercing Steam projectile is shot whenever you fire. Now that venting heat generates a bar that can be utilized for extra benefits, heat no longer decays or stops skill use. You can still use skills even at maximum heat. So you can keep spinning, you can keep punching, you can keep shooting with rapid fire, or you can keep shooting with shotgun blast. Slug Shot has become Pressure Shot, firing a much larger Steam blast in a line. It has far higher DPS than Rapid Fire. Slug Shot right now, the new Pressure Shot, is amazing and probably the highest DPS skill of the Forged when utilized and built around. Servo Driven Uppercut has become Steam Powered Uppercut. It has far higher DPS than Rapid Strike, and it also can be very strong. I'm now playing around with it on my current build I'm leveling, and it has probably the same potential as Pressure Shot. It remains to be seen though. Vent Furnace Blast has become critical mass. It requires over 75 heat and steam and clears both bars. This positions it as a build around me skill, as you need to be building both bars quickly. And this is where I would say, if you're using critical mass, you need to use the Mountain King wheel if you want to efficiently use that thing. Then Vent Fracking Strike has become just Fracking Strike as a powerful cooldown skill, spending 75 steam, sending the current Fracking Strike shockwaves in 8 directions around you, so like a 360 kind of AoE. Almost, there's still blind spots. Power Projection has been updated to rapidly generate steam over time while the buff is active, which is very good. And this gives the skill more utility in more builds and adds a timing component. You want to use the skill when you are low on steam. Yes, that's actually true. Sonic Pulse is updated to increase damage from steam spending skills, including basic attack steam procs, which was actually what I was wondering. So yeah, that's nice. It includes basic attack steam procs, so basic attack builds on the Forged with Sonic Pulse would be even better now. This makes timing Sonic Pulse important. You want to use it with a full steam bar, regardless of which route you took for steam spending. Several skills, milestones and legendary bonuses have been updated to work with the new Steam mechanics. By the way, what they just said, you want to use it with a full Steam bar regardless of which route you took for Steam spending, is not entirely true. You can use it right before venting and improve the damage that your venting skill would do, and still have enough time to spend all your Steam. So this is very misleading, telling you want to use it with the full Steam bar regardless of which route you took for Steam spending. Because, see, you can use Sonic Pulse on a boss, make it take 40% more damage, while giving yourself the 40% Steam damage, Steam skill damage buff, and you can use your Vent skill, and then the Vent skill would do 40% more damage, and you would still have enough time to do a fracking strike or critical mass or a bunch of uppercuts or pressure shots. So don't do what they are saying. Don't use it only when the Steam bar is full. You can use it right before venting and it's not gonna hurt you. You're losing like what, 1 second for the vent. It's not that terrible. Several skill milestones and legendary bonuses have been updated to work with the new Steam mechanics. Fixed an issue where critical mass, formerly Vent Furnace Blast, Tier 1 and 2 milestones bonuses did not function. They replaced the old Forged Orb with the new version of the in the help mechanic screen, and fixed an issue with where all heat is reduced to 0 upon leveling. Fixed an issue where ramming robot would not interrupt other skills and would pause slightly after ending the charge before allowing normal movement again, which is pretty nice. And fixed the typo referring to the old forged skill names of steam powered uppercut damage. I think they mean servo-driven uppercut damage. And there's also a typo referring to swag shot as swag shot instead of pressure shot. Now, Poison Dart tooltip clarified to say what type of damage it deals. Now, moving on to Sharpshooter, they fixed an issue where reload does not reset the cooldowns of some of the adventure skills. Finally, hallelujah, it is Christmas. They fixed an issue where the Ghost Visage would not interrupt other skills and would not activate if targeted very far from your position. Amazing. Fixed an issue where Tier 3 of Shasta looked like she was poisoned. Fixed an issue where Ghost Visage was not scaling its crit chance per level correctly. Fixed an issue where Onslaught was not indicating its per level bonus was damage, not duration. Fixed the tooltip so the duration now changes when you get its tier 2 milestone. Added a missing Sharpshooter hair animation FBX file that caused it to not animate on the character select screen. Okay. Then for the Railmaster, fixed an issue where Hammer Swing would not interrupt other skills finally and would pause slightly after the ending the charge before allowing normal movement. Fixed the legendary Shotgunner shield referring to a bonus effect of shield car which does not exist. Then they reduced the length of Railmaster tracks before they start deleting. And reduce the VFX for shield card to help with the intensity. Fix the tier 3 bonus effect on the blasting charge skill and deals incorrect damage. And that pretty much sums it up. To get notified when I upload more content for this game or other games like this one, which would be wooters of all varieties, isometric, third-person ARPGs, wooter shooters and all sorts of wooters like that, you could subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button to not miss out on my content updates. And optionally, you can even join as a member of the Struck Club on YouTube as a channel member to get access to exclusive perks such as special emotes custom made by me, special badges custom made by me that represents how many months you have been a member for, as well as opt-in of editing tutorials that I can give for Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, as well as shoutouts and things like that. And I would like to use this part of the video to thank all my YouTube members and Twitch subscribers. Thank you for supporting the channel and keeping me going. Thank you also for watching this video, everyone. Keep it cool, Struck Club. Until next time, and goodbye.